Hey, hello, welcome to the show. It's me, John Park, and it is time for JP's product pick of the week. So thank you so much for joining me for this. I am excited about today's product pick. If you don't know, if this is your first time on this show, I'll show you a new product from the Adafruit store. You'll have the opportunity to buy it for, I believe it's half off today, just by heading to that URL right there, or point something at that QR code, some sort of device. And you can pick up to 10 of them at the discount, no coupon code necessary. We just slash the price. And let's see, before I worry you that, hey, wait, I'm watching this show and then this guy's coming along and telling me to click on a link or point my browser somewhere else, that's madness. Who would do that? This show broadcasts from within the product page, so you can be right there and you will see this embedded right down at the bottom there. You can watch it from inside, and there you are, surrounded by this show and the product, if you like, if that's what you're into. You don't have to, but you can do that. So I want to thank you for stopping by. I want to thank our people over in our chats. So we have the YouTube chat up, and we also have our Discord. If you're wondering, if you're over on Twitch or somewhere and wondering where the chat is at, head on over to adafruit.it/discord and look for the live broadcast chat channel. It looks like that right there, and apparently there are shenanigans. Who's this guy? I don't know what's happening. Oh, nice. DJ Devon 3 with the photoshopping. The ship needed more cowbell. Poor Jack. I love it. Thank you. And yeah, hello to Interstellar, Surfer, Devon's Workshop NYC Kid, Dave Odessa, Gavin Bell, Babaloo, Jordy Yee, Dale Etchels. Thank you for stopping by the YouTube chat. And then, of course, thanks to everyone, Yanisku and DJ Devon 3, Jim Hendrickson, Blitz City, hey Liz, Paul, hello. Thanks for stopping by the chats. So let's do this. What I like to do is have Lady Ada go back, just rewind time a little bit, and talk about this week's product pick when it was brand new, not so long ago. So take it away, Lady Ada.
Okay, next up, just a very simple breakout board. I needed a breakout board for this connector because I started to use it. It's a TRRS connector, so it's tip, ring, sleeve. If you go back to the headphones.
On this one.
Headphones. So you can see on the headphone jack, it has 4 contacts. There's the tip, which is left, the first ring, which is right, the third ring, which is going to be microphone, usually on headsets, and the fourth ring, which is ground. That's for like headsets, but you know, I actually think that these audio jacks could be used for whatever you want to have low-cost cabling to connect 4 data lines, say I2C, or maybe your power ground, RxTX, whatever, over a headphone cable. You can use a TRRS jack for that. And these photo cables are really cheap, and they come in like every length. So, you know, could you use it for that? Maybe, I don't know. Or you could just use it for connecting to audio. This breakout board has this connector, sorry, the jack has, in addition to the sleeve, right and left, has 2 switches. The R switch and the left switch. The R switch is when the jack is not inserted, goes to the right, and the left switch is connected to the left. When you insert the jack, the R switch and left switch pins float. And this is basically, you know, on old stereo systems where you plugged in the headphone jack, it would automatically turn off the speaker. That's because the audio would no longer be routed through the switches. You could also use it to detect when a jack is plugged in by having a very light pull up, and you can detect whether it's like grounded or not. There's tutorials that we've linked to, or you can just Google for jack detection to determine how to do that. But basically it came free with the connector, so sure, we added it onto the breakout.
Oh, yes, indeed, it is. That's the product pick. Whoa, hold on, I'm clicking things right there. That's the thing. This right here, this is my product pick of the week. This week it is the TRRS Jack Breakout, or the TRRS Jack Breakout. No one calls it that. I wish they did. So this is really handy. This gives us a nice breadboard friendly with the pins broken out for the TRRS jack, which actually has more than just 4 pins on it because, like Lady Ada said, we have ground, we have the 3 rings for data or whatever you're going to use them for, audio, microphone, stereo, but we also have 2 more pins on there that are for switches that can detect essentially if a cable is plugged in to the left and the right channels, the traditional left and the right channels. What is this for? Well, first of all, let's talk about the arms race of this type of cable. So this is specifically a 3.5 millimeter plug, and this type of nomenclature, TRRS, that exists in other, most notably 1/4 inch jacks for audio applications. But you've got things like banana plugs, right? That's just a single conductor right there. This is kind of a fancy one with a little retractable sleeve, but that's a single conductor. Okay, so that doesn't quite count because that's not in this 3.5 millimeter range. But you do see these, right? These mono that has the tip and the sleeve. And I use these for Eurorec modular synthesizers. They're really popular for that, but you can also find them used for accessibility switches and other uses. So there's those. Then there's the most common one, I think, the one that we're most used to, which is the stereo 3.5 millimeter jack, which has the tip, the ring, and the sleeve. And so one of the nice things is you can use the TRRS jack for mono or stereo or the quadruple TRRS. You can use them for all of those. That's fine. Actually, I shouldn't say you can use them for mono. I haven't tested that. Sometimes that'll short things you don't want shorted. But you can use this with stereo TRRS jacks, and that works great. And in fact, I have demos that I'll show you using that, and I've used that for audio and other things. And you can use them for TRRS. And as Lady Ada said, that's often used for stereo audio and microphones. So a lot of your Android headsets and on Apple devices prior to them ditching the 3.5 millimeter jack, your headsets would actually have this set of 4 contacts or conductors on it, TRRS. You can also find them in use in some interesting places. For example, this is an accessibility controller from Microsoft for the Xbox, and I've built some alternate input devices for this before because that's what it's designed for. It has all these 3.5 millimeter jacks. Some of them are mono, some of them I think are stereo, and a couple of them are TRRS, and those are the ones that are used for some of the analog stuff. So if you want to interface different types of potentiometers for the variable trigger controls that are on an Xbox controller, you'll be using a couple of those jacks. In the past, to interface with those, I've had to make my own Breakout. So there you can see I've got 4 pins. I've kind of spaced them weird here, but I've got 4 pins going to a TRRS cable. Let me give you a down shooter view of the world here. So there you go. There's a TRRS. Is that a TRRS? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it sure is. And that allows me to use the analog controls that are accessible on that controller. Well, this I've lost it already. This little guy right here will do the same job for me, and it's actually a better layout with more going on. Also in the chat, someone mentioned Anubis said that a DSLR shutter also will use that. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so yeah, that's another case where you can use this type of cabling. And if you want to use a microcontroller in the mix, this is a really great Breakout. You can also use it without. If you want to just hook potentiometers up to this thing, that's fine. It just is a breadboard-friendly way to access all the points on that jack. Here is an example. This is actually kind of my prototype version of the Tyrrell desktop synthesizer. I'll zoom out and focus here a little. And so you can see in this case I'm running, I believe, to power, ground, and the right channel for the stereo audio that I was doing on that. You can see it here. I'll leave that one there, but you can see it here. Not as well, but this is the actual synth in practice. Looks like the Tyrrell building from Blade Runner, and there it is. I've got the little Breakout on there, so I'm sending audio out on that example. And then the example I wanted to show you here is a little Altoid tin MIDI converter that I built yesterday. So this is cute little Altoid tin. We have these little Permaproto boards that fit an Altoid mint tin, little mini mint tins. And you can see here I've got a Cutie Pie and I've got my TRRS jack. I'm using it to send MIDI data, and so for that I'm using a TRRS cable, and that works fine, stereo cable. And then I got fancy and added a little screen to this, but if you take a look at what I've got going on here, this is actually sending classic MIDI over that TRRS cable to a nice little synthesizer here. This is this Roland JX03. By the way, today is 808 day, so happy 808 day for those who observe or practice, 808 being Roland's famous classic drum machine. This is not that, but this is a little Roland synth. And what I'll do is turn on a mic here to hear the output. So what I've got going on here is I'm going to use the Cutie Pie to play a little couple of arpeggios and then change the patch or program. So you can see you can pick all these different sort of preset sounds. There's actually 3 sets of these, so we got like 48 sounds on here that we can switch between. I've written a little program that will just automatically run through those and write their little name out to the screen so that you can sort of sample the capabilities that are built into this synthesizer. So let me go to a screen here where you can see what's going on there and restart the code. Okay, so you get the idea with that. And so that, if you look at the code here, oh, and I should ask, could you hear that? Because sometimes I need to adjust my mix. Let me know if that mix was okay for hearing the basic demonstration of that. Let me turn that down. So what you can see I've got going on here is I'm bringing in MIDI messages, and let's see, where am I setting up my output? Okay, there we go. So my MIDI messages I'm sending out over the transmit, the TX, and so on my little breakout board here, on the TRRS breakout board, I am sending out the TX signal over one of the ring positions here, and then I have power and ground as a differential there. And so this is just serial UART data. So like Lady Ada said, you can use these TRRS cables to do transmit and receive and power and ground if you want to between microcontrollers. This is kind of similar actually. It's just sending these MIDI messages, digital messages over to a synthesizer that's essentially like a microcontroller that's getting that information and then turning that into program changes and note on, note off messages. But you could do a whole lot more with it if you want. And in fact, I've got another example here. This is going to use some sample code that Liz wrote for her little MIDI Buddies MIDI serial, USB to serial guide, and I'm going to save that. So what's happening now is my Cutie Pie is actually going to translate USB MIDI into classic MIDI. So if you have an older synthesizer that won't plug into USB, this is a way to build it on a tiny little $7 microcontroller, which is pretty cool. So here what I'll do is I'll turn the... Ooh, I don't know what it thinks it's playing. But what I'm going to do is open up Ableton where I have a MIDI track. What do you think you're playing? So in this case, I can go and, let's say I liked one of those programs that it switched to before, now I can pick that using this interface or add more to my program so that it doesn't just translate the USB MIDI to serial, but also does some program change things, stuff like that. And you can see we also have a little Stemma QT display output. If you're curious, let me turn this down. This actually does kind of all pack up nice and neat. Let me stop this playing here. Go back to the down cam. Here you can see this actually does fit in here. It's small enough to, doesn't want to quite close at the moment. I think something is in the way. But it's not bad. You can see I just poked a little hole here for the TRRS and a little hole here for USB-C. So there's my little Altoids tin turned into a little MIDI synthesizer. I could probably mount this a little more permanently, but I wanted to be able to show you the guts there of what this was. So let's see, got any questions about that? Thank you, Tim Orling. That was definitely a Stranger Things inspired arpeggio, and this synth is the right era for those sounds to remind you of Stranger Things. Oh, DJ Devin says, sounds like the Buckaroo Banzai. That, I don't think I have listed here. That is a Morusque, M-O-R-U-S-Q-U-E is the name of the artist who released a bunch of Creative Commons MIDI tracks that are excellent. So that's what I was playing there, Morusque. So if you want to go and grab one of these, head on over to the site. Let me see if we got them in stock. Still, we do. They're 88 cents. So you could just get piles of these things. That's quite cheap for a thing that's nicely broken out like that onto a breadboard-friendly spacing, and lets you access all of those pins on there. There's even a guide, so you can check out. Kattni wrote this nice guide about how to use it. Talks about how the switches work, gives you pinout, what's connected to what, and there are also some downloads if you want to get the files there. And there's a schematic there which might be helpful for you to visualize how the switches work there. All right, let's see. If there are no other questions about that, we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Jordy Gee said most phone headsets were LRGM, not LRMG. Yeah, it is confusing. So I should say, you've got to do your research before you, or do some testing with a multimeter before you assume what the tip, ring, sleeve actually stand for. They're kind of very, I think there are things that are headphones with a mic versus headsets, and those are kind of two slightly different terms that often have two of the conductors swizzled there. So yeah, it'll really vary. It's really just 4 wires that you could use. You could potentially use them for I2C. Of course, getting really long runs of headphone cable might cause problems. Yeah, so I was going to say, Blitz City DIY mentioned you can use them to transmit NeoPixel data. So you could do, as long as it's not super high current you're trying to do, you probably get away with sending power, ground, and data signal, or just data and ground, and you could have your power going directly to the strip if it's a higher current usage. But what a convenient type of little plug that is. I've got that example one there. So this is actually, I think, this example says it best. That's what I was working with before. Now we have that, and you can plug in your TRRS cable and get on with your life. So that is going to do it for today. That is my product pick of the week this week. It is the TRRS Jack Breakout. Go and get some. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been JP's product pick of the week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.